It may be a fun event, but the reminders that public safety is a dangerous job are never far away. This year, the LAPD has lost 8 officers, 3 of them on the job. Awards like this are very much deserved. I'm Anna Marcos for LA This Week.
Some of the LAPD's up-and-coming cadets also received recognition and scholarships for their work volunteering in the community. Another aging downtown building has been brought back to life. This time it's the historic Broadway Arts Tower. Anita Bennett takes us inside for a tour.
What was once a department store built in 1928 is now a commercial office space in downtown Los Angeles. The newly restored building, known as the Broadway Arts Tower, just underwent a $2 million upgrade, yet it still maintains much of its original charm.
The only things that we really added were internet, AC, a new elevator, and very basic things that you have to have nowadays.
The 6-year development project was part of Council District 14's Bring Back Broadway initiative.
Being at 5th and Broadway, I am very excited about it because as we watch things pop up along Broadway, we get the connector points, and it will absolutely be great when we're full and that energy can spread out and the other streets can work towards us.
During the restoration, the original hardwood floors, grand staircase, and brass handrails were all left intact. But there is one big change. The rear windows were turned into a mural.
The back of the building reminded me of the building within the old movie Rear Window. So I chose to use those images from that film to replace the missing windows.
Now the developer is counting on that artwork and other modern touches to draw new tenants to this building, which sat vacant for several decades. I'm Anita Bennett for LA This Week.
The Broadway Arts Tower is the first large commercial office building to open on South Broadway since the Great Depression in the 1930s. Native Americans have a lot to celebrate during American Indian Heritage Month. The city's festivities got underway recently at City Hall. Yana Kay takes us there.
This traditional Native American tribal dance represents family strength and unity and helped kick off American Indian Heritage Month at City Hall. Participants say the event gives them a chance to show their appreciation to their loved ones.
I have family that takes care of me, and I love my family and friends because they're like older brothers and sisters to me.
Native American Heritage Month also recognizes many of the contributions Native American tribes had on Los Angeles, dating back to the 1700s. Councilmember Mitch O'Farrell, who was sworn into the Wyandotte Nation by the tribe's chief, Billy Friend, last June, said events like these help remind Angelenos of all the sacrifices made by Native Americans.
I think as we mature, we recognize and value more and more our own heritage, the sacrifices that our ancestors made, and that fortifies us and makes us realize that the very DNA that we are made from is made stronger by those that came before us.
Earlier in the day, inside council chambers, O'Farrell recognized the Torres Martinez Desert Cahuilla Indians for all the work they do on behalf of Native Americans.
Thanks to your organizations in your city and in your county, they've made it a success for us.
And the hope is these kinds of celebrations will keep history alive for future generations. I'm Yana Kay for LA This Week.
Native American Heritage Month was coordinated by Councilmember O'Farrell and the Native American Indian Commission. A new mural is helping bring character and life to a street that's been a vital part of the Northridge community. Rasha Goel has more on how this mural is reviving the past but setting a new vibe for the future.
For the Northridge community, this new mural is more than just artwork on a wall.
Not only is it the first mural that's going to be part of the history walk of Northridge, but it's a sense of the community coming together.
Northridge Sparkling Campaign, a beautification organization, and the Museum of the San Fernando Valley brought on artist Tim Cornelius to create the mural.
Because my dad's a fine artist and he loves to paint trains and depots, I thought I would do this as an homage to him.
The mural, known as Zelza Train Depot, is painted on the side of a CD store on the corner of Reseda Boulevard and Rand Street. It's the first of 11 historically themed pieces of art envisioned for Northridge's Reseda Boulevard, part of a plan to revitalize the city's main business corridor.
You're all looking for a change, to take this community, to take the Reseda, the corridor, the gateway to Northridge, and create what you're starting to see today. And there's a vision and there's a future.
It reminds me of the past, and I have fond memories of the past. My dad grew up in the valley and all that, and it's just lovely.
Reseda Boulevard, from Parthenia to Plummer, is also one of 15 local neighborhoods recently designated by Mayor Eric Garcetti for his Great Streets initiative, which aims to turn this corridor into a more business and pedestrian-friendly district. I'm Rasha Goel for LA This Week.
And a lot more is happening in the valley to improve quality of life. A major thoroughfare there just got a street lift as city officials make it more pleasant for drivers to get around. Yana Kay has more.
Driving north and southbound on Van Nuys Boulevard between Magnolia Avenue and Ventura Boulevard just got a little more enjoyable thanks to a Los Angeles City repaving project.
You don't hit the potholes, you don't hit the ruts in the street.
Crews resurfaced 1.3 miles of street on the heavily traveled stretch of the boulevard and did it in just 2 days by using 2 paving machines at the same time. And for local drivers, it didn't seem to be too much of an inconvenience.
Most of the streets have been paved, and there's no problem. So for a day or two, you take Hazeltine or some other street and get around, This is no big deal.
In addition to the repaving, upgrades include new lane stripping, repainted curbs, and sidewalk cleanup.
Our approach right now is to save streets while they are in somehow a fair condition. If we decided to wait, let's say 2 more years or 3 more years, this $600,000 project would become a $2.5 million project.
City officials say they were able to save about 25% on the entire cost of the project. That's because crews were able to reuse and recycle most of the asphalt. Ramps to and from the 101 freeway to Van Nuys were also shut down, allowing Caltrans the opportunity to conduct routine maintenance on the exit ramps. A brief pause in traffic for a smooth ride for years to come. I'm Yana Kay for LA This Week.
It's been 16 years since Van Nuys Boulevard was last resurfaced. With California facing the worst drought on record, many folks are stepping up and doing what they can to save water. As Yana Kay reports, some community members are leading by example.
The Los Angeles Police Department's Topanga Station in the San Fernando Valley welcomes visitors with a tranquil and peaceful setting, complete with drought-tolerant vegetation and California native plants. It's all thanks to LAPD's Topanga Restoring Its Urban Ecosystem, or TRUE, Community Landscape Project, an ongoing effort to transform the station's landscape into a sustainable and drought-tolerant garden.
This has been done pretty much entirely with donated funds and volunteer labor.
And for all their efforts, community members and volunteers were recognized recently during a Community Choice Awards luncheon in Woodland Hills.
They do so much in the community on so many levels, not only keeping us safe, but this environmental stewardship through the TRUE program has been just fantastic. So, Officer Rodriguez, thank you so much.
Because of the drought and severe heat, the station's previous landscaping dried out and died. So in 2011, the station partnered with community groups to install a drought-tolerant ecosystem.
We don't want someone to come into a building that looks like it's a vacant building because the weeds and everything is dead. We want to make sure that it's a beautiful, enjoyable location.
10 local business owners who have improved their properties were also honored at the event.
Anything that any of us can do to help with that water recycling and drought-resistant planting and all of that is going to be very helpful in our efforts.
Efforts that don't only make the community look more beautiful, but also help save precious water. I'm Yana Kay for LA This Week.
The TRUE project is currently seeking donations in order to install a new irrigation system. A night of compliments for South LA students inspire them to greater achievements in school and in life.
How do you feel?
I feel great to be honored.
5th grader Mila Perkins receives a medal for a job well done. The most improved student of the year at Manchester Elementary School gets showered with compliments at a lavish awards dinner, where she and her family can bask in the spotlight.
You know, celebrate my little genius here and inspire her just to capture the world with her imagination and just the beauty within her. and I'm just really proud of her today.
Over 70 South LA students received the STAR treatment at this year's State of the 8th Awards Gala. 8th District Councilman Bernard Parks, with his wife Bobby, explains.
What we give is an overview of our accomplishments, but we also honor many of our schools in the 8th District, many of the classes for the best grade point average in each class and the most improved student.
This marks the final State of the 8th event for Parks. As councilman, he'll be termed out of office in July. During his 10 years hosting the dinner, he's noticed that many of the most improved students go on to earn highest GPA awards in later years. He largely credits positive reinforcement from parents and from events like this.
I improved in my work and stuff, and I worked really hard.
I know my son works hard in school and, does his very best, so I really appreciate it, and I know he does too.
A handful of adults also received the red carpet treatment for helping the children improve their grades and succeed in school. Councilman Parks says he's touched when former awardees approach him as adults and tell him they're now in college and pursuing their dreams. City leaders raise awareness on Alzheimer's disease. The city's first non-residential roundabout could ease traffic flow at a busy intersection, and enrolling in an LADWP payment plan online. These stories in City Beat. The City Council recently helped bring public awareness to a disease plaguing 5 million Americans today, Alzheimer's.
There are over 15 million unpaid caregivers, and that equates to over 17.7 billion hours of care, to the tune of over $220 billion.
The hope is for awareness to result in funding for the treatment of and cure for the disease, but also for financial and emotional support for those who care for those with Alzheimer's. A roundabout is in the works for the community of Boyle Heights in Council District 14. The latest renderings were unveiled for the $4.3 million Cinco Puntos traffic circle to be constructed with the existing All Wars Memorial on East Cesar Chavez Avenue as its centerpiece. Cinco Puntos means 5 points in Spanish. While popular in Europe and on the East Coast, where they are also called rotaries, this roundabout is thought to be the first non-residential one here in Los Angeles. Instead of a traditional intersection, a roundabout requires motorists to slow down and merge into a circular traffic pattern, looping them around to their exit. Los Angeles Department of Water and Power customers now have the ability to enroll in payment plan options online at LADWP.com. LADWP's payment plan helps customers who may need a little more time to pay their utility bill. In the past, the only way to enroll in a payment plan was to call the LADWP Customer Contact Center and speak with a customer service representative. Now customers can visit LADWP.com 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to enroll. But LADWP customers must have an online account and meet eligibility requirements to enroll. You can find LA history in some unexpected places. Case in point, a fast food joint in Wilmington can now call itself a historical landmark. Wiener Schnitzel has been dishing out fast food in a hot dog bun to hungry customers for decades. And now the very first Wiener Schnitzel in the nation, located in Wilmington, is finally getting its due. The city of Los Angeles designated the fast food stand, built at 900 West Pacific Coast Highway, a historical landmark.
We're here to officially celebrate the first Wiener Schnitzel in the entire world here in Wilmington, California, and also recognize John Gallardi, who is the entrepreneur who came here in Wilmington in 1961 and decided to open the first hot dog stand.
John Gallardi was only 23 years old when he opened his first store, not long after working at Taco Tia, a restaurant owned by Glenn Bell Jr., creator of the Taco Bell restaurant chain.
So John thought about it, and he thought, well, I can't do tacos. That would be competing with my friend, his best friend at the time, Glenn Bell. I don't want to compete with the McDonald brothers, so I'm going to do hot dogs.
There's stories for days about this place that I probably can't get into. Just kidding. 1961, it opened its doors, and, it set the precedent for the rest of the chain. And for it still to be standing today, and for the city of LA and Wilmington to honor it and classified as a historical landmark it's a huge deal, and we couldn't be more excited.
Bob Trujillo, who along with his real estate partner went into business with Gagliardi and built this very first stand, as well as some 500 other Wiener Schnitzels.
We grew too fast and we got in a lot of financial trouble. Couldn't pay the bills, and so we sent a letter out to 200 landlords and said, we're not paying any rent. If you have any questions, call. Well, they all called, and so it took us about 5 years to work it out. But then we put in a buy a Coke, keep the glass promotion, and it tripled our sales. It was 15 cents for the Coke glass. So we sold 15 million of those, and that's what saved our company.
One smart promotion and countless hot dogs. Now that's the stuff fast food legends are made of. This is the fourth historical designation in Wilmington, and this Wiener Schnitzel in Wilmington is only the second roadside food stand to receive such an honor from the city. A local recreation center receives a new gift, one that will hopefully inspire families to exercise and enjoy the outdoors. Rasha Goel has more.
Residents are celebrating the grand opening of the Fred Roberts Synthetic Soccer Field in South Los Angeles. The new field is a major renovation at the center.
You know, it covered an old dirt field that used to be here, and we made some improvements on the exterior, some benches there, a little exercise cycle. So it's a real family-friendly.
It looks totally different. It looked better.
The new synthetic field is the 28th field to be operated and maintained by the Los Angeles Department of Recreation and Parks in an effort to provide better resources for the community.
By putting one field, it's like serving 3 additional soccer fields because it could be played on nonstop.
Amazing park like this will provide a lot of opportunities for youth soccer players out here to get out there and run around and work hard.
Aside from inspiration, officials say synthetic fields save roughly 1.8 million gallons of water per year. Perhaps that's a goal worth kicking for. I'm Rasha Goel for LA This Week.
Other renovations at the Fred Roberts Park include new security lights, a walking path, and new fencing. In this week's list of things to do, the reindeer romp at the LA Zoo, a free family art workshop, and an exhibit called Hot House. There's no shortage of holiday things to do here in LA. For starters, the ever-popular reindeer have landed at the LA Zoo for the holidays. They will spend Christmas and New Year's here before flying off on January 4th. You can pay a visit anytime from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. daily, except on Christmas Day when the zoo is closed. The LA Zoo is located at 5333 Zoo Drive. Go to lazoo.org for details. The Los Angeles Municipal Art Gallery holds free family art workshops every Sunday at the Barnsdall Art Park campus. The workshop on Sunday, December 7th from 10 a.m. to noon will touch on the gallery's current LA Islam exhibits. Families are invited to work with diverse materials to create vibrant artworks influenced by the traditional motifs and contemporary images from 2 exhibitions currently on display featuring Islamic art. All ages are welcome. All materials are provided. Barnsdall Art Park is located at 4800 Hollywood Boulevard. Go to barnsdall.org. Currently on display at the Watts Towers Arts Center is the exhibit Hot House, on display until January 11th. Artist Allison Sarr's Hot House addresses the tug of nature on our bodies and psyche. 2 sculpted pieces, Foizon and Fallow, 2 female figures, frame the scope of the work in the show. Foizon's abdomen reveals a flourishing scene, alive with moths, cocoons, and caterpillars. Fallow's abdomen, however, reveals a dark and somber scene of death and infertility. The Watts Towers Art Center is located at 1727 East 107th Street. For gallery hours, go to wattstowers.org. And that's a look at some upcoming things to do. That's going to do it for this edition. Thanks for joining us. I'm Ellen Chang. A reminder that you could catch us online at lacityview.org. You can also follow and like us on Facebook. We'll see you back here next week for more of LA This Week.
Don't hurt me this way. Don't touch me this way.
When a physical encounter occurs between man and machine, the machine always wins. Please, don't lose. Obey all the rules of the road.
Don't let me make the same mistake again.
A single ember that escapes from a wildfire can travel more than a mile. You can't control where that ember will land, only what happens when it does. Get Fire Adapted now at fireadapted.org.
Don't worry, Patty. This isn't going to hurt me one bit. Hi, I'm Dr. Eric Shapiro in beautiful Encino, and you're watching LA City View, Channel 35. Our city, our channel.
deputy here. All right, Miss Martinez is here. Thank you very much. Madam Clerk, please call the roll. Mr. City Attorney, attention. Madam Clerk.
Bloomingfield, Bonnet, Buscaino, Cedillo, Englander, Fuentes, Huizar, Carrasco, Corey, Labange, Martinez, O'Farrell, Parks, Price, Weston. 10 members present, a quorum, Mr. President.
First order of business.
Approve the minutes.
Mr. O'Farrell moves. Ms. Martinez seconds.
Next is committed to resolutions for approval.
Mr. Buscaino moves. Mr. Krikorian seconds.
Mr. President, today is Tuesday, and now would be the time for the flag salute.
Let's all rise at this time for the flag salute of the United States of America. Staff, let's rise, face the flag. Mr. O'Farrell, please.
Place your hand over your heart and begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. If you could now direct our attention to the agenda, and Madam Clerk, let's run through the agenda at this time.
Mr. President, there's a request to continue item 1A to January 9th.
So ordered.
Items 1 through 4 are items noticed for public hearing. The Department of Building and Safety reports that items 1C and E may be received and filed inasmuch as the liens have been paid.
So order on 1C and E. Any cards on any of them?
No cards.
All right, so let's open the roll on items 1 through 4 on the remaining. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote. 10 ayes, thank you.
And Mr. President, the ordinance says items 2 and 3 will be held over for 1 week unless reconsidered with 12 members.
Very good, thank you so much.
Items 5 through 11 are items for which public hearings have been held.
5 through 11, members, any specials on 5 through 11? No specials on 5 through 11. Let's open the roll on those. Excuse me, Sergeant, was that you? Yeah. 5 through 11. Ready for 5 through 11? Open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote. 10 ayes. Next item.
Items 12 through 20 are items for which public hearings have not been held. 10 votes required for consideration.
Open the roll on consideration. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote. 10 ayes. Thank you. So that's passed.
There are cards on items 15, 18, and 19.
And then the 15, 18, 19 we call special and hold. On the balance of those, any members want to call any specials on those?
If we didn't already vote, did we already vote on 5? Okay, I'm sorry, but I missed that one. I'd like to call that one special, please.
We're going to vote on this, and then we'll go back to that. Hold on just a second. Thank you. So on these issues here, Mr. Koretz?
No. Are you on the up to 21 or past 21?
No, I'm 61. No, I'm kidding you. I'm kidding you, Paul. You
I'm totally confused.
I don't know.
12 through 20.
12 through 20.
Should I do 15 or
12 through 20.
Oh, yeah. Item number 15.
Item 15, special by Mr. Koretz.
Yeah.
Members, so focus on that. So on the balance,
You do. Somewhere.
open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
I was here until 2, so you're so...
And now back to Mr. Kokorian's request. We would want a reconsideration on item number 5. Open the roll on reconsideration. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote. And we'll hold that special, Mr. Kokorian. Thank you. Madam Clerk, back to you.
On the supplemental agenda, items 21 and 22 are items for which public hearings have been held.
21 and 22. Any specials on 21 or 22? Mr. Martinez, excuse me. Ms. Martinez.
Yeah.
Ms. Martinez.
Thank you,
excuse
Mr.
me.
President. Item 22, special, please.
22. Mr. Koretz, are you waving at me? No? All right. Did anyone call 21 special? The city attorney wants to know.
21 special.
21 special, thank you. Oh. Madam Clerk.
Mr. President, that brings council to items called special or presentations.
Mr. Wesson. Please welcome the President of the City Council and the City Controller of Los Angeles.
Mr. President and members, I'm honored to stand here today with our dear friend, my dear friend Ron Galperin, the Controller of the greatest city on the planet. And we're here to surprise a staff person who's moving on to a different position, but we'd like to officially let her know how we felt about her. So if we could get the folk that have her tied up and blindfolded and earplugs in the back so she doesn't know what's happening, if we could get them to bring her. There she is. All right, Susie Jack.
Yes, sir. Something else.
Susie thought she was just coming here today to do work. Well, I just want to say this to everybody that's here, everyone that's listening. I had the pleasure several years ago to meet Susie. It was in a very important meeting with then Mayor Antonio Villaraigosa. She was a new hire to his staff, and we were discussing some high-powered issues. Cannot remember, Susie, exactly what those issues were because I'm old. You probably remember. I don't. But it amazed me as I watched her, and she hung on the word Every word that everyone said, quiet as a church mouse, writing notes. I watched her look at the body language of the various people in the meeting that were speaking. And I remember when the meeting was over, I said to my staff, let's keep an eye on that young lady. I said, she has, I'm telling you, my gut tells me she has unbelievable potential. And as time went on, that potential came to light, and it became apparent to just about anyone that she was a valuable asset to the city of Los Angeles. When our mayor went on to do other things, and we had our newly elected mayor, Eric Garcetti, I think I proved to be one of her biggest cheerleaders, because I had suggested she talk to a lot of individuals, because I didn't want her to move on and go somewhere else, and we lose this bright, rising star. And it worked. Our new controller saw the same potential in Susie that many of us here saw, and he offered her a job as deputy controller. Well, we've kept Susie about as long as we can, because the LA Times has seen the potential in Susie, and she will be leaving us shortly to go join the Los Angeles Times newspaper, which is probably a good thing for us. Hopefully you can help them be a tad more objective when they review the dealings of this council. Now, I think I'll leave some of the pertinent things about where she went to school and all of this maybe to Ron or to me. That's really not as important as the service that Susie provided to the city and the spirit that she had. I personally will miss her just because of her honesty. She would help me sort things out politically, and she's a straight shooter and would never tell you anything that wasn't accurate. I will miss you, Susie, and look forward to your return to government, which I'm sure will be somewhere down the line. At this point, though, I think it's appropriate to ask our controller to say a few words about how the heck, Ron, are you going to fill these little size 7 shoes? I don't know how, because she could do so many things at once. And I'm sure, Susie, I speak for a lot of members of the council when I say they were all impressed with you. Whenever you came to us, you would give us both sides of the story. There was no con, there was no BS, just a straight person making a legitimate argument about what you believed and protecting your boss, your current boss, the controller. So with that said, I'm, number one, going to ask for a big applause for Susie Jack. And that same applause for our controller, Ron Galperin.
Oh my, I really don't want to be doing this. But here we are, so good morning. And we are here today to send off the one and only Susie Jack, whom I have had the pleasure of having as part of my team for the past 18 months since I've had the honor of being in office. In fact, Susie was the first person that I hired when I was elected. And I wanted someone who would not only do a great job, but someone who would challenge me, someone who would talk back to me, someone who would question me. Boy, did she do that. And with insight and with wisdom far beyond her youth. Now, Susie leaves us to become vice president, one of the vice presidents at the LA Times, very impressive, which will benefit immensely, I think, from her tenacity, her charm, and her genius for connecting the dots. The Comptroller's Office and the city will miss many things about Susie: her smarts, her zeal for innovation, her practicality, her advocacy for the LGBT community, her incredible ability to inspire and develop allies and make friends of everyone. Most of all, I must concede I will miss her reliable stock of almonds and chocolate in the bottom drawer of the left-hand side of her desk, which sustained me through many a late night over the past 18 months. I want to salute Susie for her amazing accomplishments with our office, specifically around open data. She was instrumental in launching the control panel, has worked relentlessly to add, improve, redesign, and expand on the amazing initial launch. She's been a friendly face for innovation in LA to hundreds of hacktivists and coders who are learning that City Hall isn't as backward as they thought. And she's been unafraid to experiment, to dream big, to take risks, to make the city an even better place. Now, let me say something to the many staffers who are here today. You're really the backbone of this venerable city government. Sometimes, perhaps, you may wonder just how much of a difference you can or do make. As our friend Susie proves, you can make all the difference in the world. And I think we all can and should be a little bit more like Susie. We will miss you, but thankfully you're going to be just down the block, transforming yet another venerable institution of our city at the LA Times. I want to also congratulate Monique Earl Ford, who's stepping in as a deputy controller. The fabulous Monique Earl Ford. And Susie, we wish you nothing but the best in all of your future endeavors, and to the great successes and adventures that no doubt await you. Congratulations, and we love you.
Mr. President, we have a couple members want to speak.
One moment. Before we go to the other members, I do want to say that, again, Susie, we will miss you tremendously, but also something that happened where it relates to Mayor Antonio Villaraigosa's tenure is I had the opportunity to work very, very closely with Monique here. So we will welcome you with open arms, and I'm excited and impressed with the controller's ability to pick top-notch staff. And I do want to say, Susie, now you're moving on to the Times, that to the LA Times, we had the highest respect for you. It was a joke. It was a joke when I said being more objective. So I just want to make sure that I want to make sure tomorrow there's not a photo of me and this little sucker said. No, we had the highest respect for the Los Angeles Times, personal relationships with individuals that are actually running it, people that I think are really going to help hone your skills. So it's a great opportunity, and we're all excited that you're going to have an opportunity to do this. So let's give a round of applause to the LA Times for their genius in selecting Susie Jack. Mr. President, the floor is yours.
We have a special one right here, Mr. Buscaino on the 15th.
Thank you, Mr. LaBonge. Colleagues, I first met Susie as a Green candidate running for this seat in late 2011. And part of my platform was to fix every failed street in the city of Los Angeles. That has not changed, as we all know. But Susie came to me and just guided me and educated me on our infrastructure, introduced me to Measure Our Dollars. And I just want to say, Susie, thank you for your friendship, your guidance, your direction as a council member. I value your commitment and dedication to the city and improving the overall quality of life. And we thank you and wish you the best in the LA Times, and help us share our successes when you're across the street. I know we have so many frustrations here, but most importantly, we have a lot of successes. And I want to thank the Times in today's California section promoted the successes of the San Diego waterfront. And so walk with me and continue the drive to promote the good things happening in the city of Los Angeles. Wish you the best. We love you. And I know the entire LGBTQ community is so grateful and thankful for your leadership within the community. And I'm sure they know that they're so proud of you moving forward. So God bless you. We love you, and we wish you the best in the LA Times. Thank you, Susie.
Thank you, and I want to rise, salute her. Susie Jack, you did a tremendous job for Mr. Villaraigosa, because you always communicated. Whenever I told you something, I ran into the mayor. Whatever I told the mayor, you told him, and that's so important. The key to staff work is being able to pass the information through us, because we all have running schedules. But now you're going to still be working at First and Spring, but you're catty corner from us now. And there's a tremendous lobby there. And if you spend some time, you look at the deep history of Los Angeles. I know Mr. Galpin's a great historian as well. And looking at all of that there, and the importance of community and your role. And the importance, their publisher, Austin Butner, used to work here. So there's a symmetry there that really will help. The publishing business is so important for the community, and it drives the community. And as Mr. Buscaino compliments you on the California section, local news is very important for us all throughout Southern California. Congratulations to you and your family. You're a very fine young person, and as Mr. Weston said, your future is very bright. Thank you very much.
Susie, if we could put you in the middle.
And I'd also love to call up our Chief Deputy Controller and Chief of Staff, Claire Bartels, to join us for this. The fabulous Claire Bartels.
Fabulous.
Let's get all the controller staff in there. They only got 2 more on the front bench. Get in the picture. Get in there. Get them all in that shot.
Congratulations. Thank you guys so much. Congratulations for both of you, to both of you. Yeah. Is that looking good?
Oh, okay.
That I forgot. Bad president. All right. Susie, you want to say a few words?
Just want to say thank you so much, Council President Wesson, Controller, Mr. Controller, and all the council members for the tremendous opportunities you've all given me. I've learned so much from all the councilmen, members, and women and their staff over the years. I basically grew up in this building, having started as an intern, and whether it's learning how to be a true collaborator from Council President Wesson, a true innovator like Controller Galpin, or going on a tour of LA when I least expect it with Councilmember LaBonge to the soundtrack of the Rolling Stones. It's been such an honor to watch you all work, and I know how much work it takes to get the tiniest things done, and that you work so hard to get just that curb fixed and to just get that stop sign installed in your neighborhoods, and how much you care about your constituents. And so I take that with me as I go across the street. I am on the business side and have nothing to do with the editorial, to be clear. But thank you all so much. I'm so truly honored and shocked today. Thank you.
Congratulations, Susie Jack. Give her another big hand for that. All the way. Mr. Wesson.
And Mr. President, the LA Times is good. Thumbs up. LA Times.
LA Times, very good. Thank you very much. All right, Madam Clerk, what's next?
Mr. President, since there's 12 members, would you like to reconsider the ordinances, items 2 and 3?
2 to 3. Let's do the ordinances right now. Let's open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
12 ayes. Very good.
Now the ordinances are before you for voting.
Open the roll on the ordinances. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
12 ayes. Both items. All right, now back to the regular agenda.
Item 15, call special by Mr. Koretz and cards.
Okay, Mr. Kokoy, you had something you wanted to talk about before? Did you have just before I call Mr.
Thank you, Mr. President. Item 1G, I'd like to ask that we reconsider it for purposes of continuing it until, say, the second week of January.
All right, so for reconsideration on 1G.
1G, please.
1G, open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote on 1G.
12 ayes.
12 ayes, and so ordered to continue. Is that all right?
Thank you.
And that would be until January 13th?
That's fine.
January 13th.
Thank you.
Without objection. So ordered. Okay, thank you. Next item will be 15, Mr. Koretz.
Sound? Yes. Very good. Now, every once in a while at the state capitol, a bill comes along that's truly groundbreaking, and AB 32 was one of those bills, the Global Warming Solutions Act, and I was happy to sign on as a co-author. We knew it would be a vital tool in fighting global warming, and that's proved to be true. It's transformed our local power plants already. It's generated over $850 million in funding for programs designed to reduce greenhouse gases. What we were wrong about is we thought this would help a problem that was going to exist far off in the future. Unfortunately, climate destabilization is already here. We see it in our worsening drought. We see it in costly storms and floods and fires on every continent except Antarctica, and Antarctica is melting. So we see something everywhere. In 2015, AB 32's cap and trade funds will expand to include transportation fuels, which is expected to increase the size of the state's cap and trade program. And we expect to have that rise to $1 billion annually, a pot that the city can certainly benefit from. Unfortunately, there are a lot of attempts underway in Sacramento to slow or stop AB 32. The city of Los Angeles needs to help stop those, and I ask for an aye vote to support the full and timely implementation of AB 32.
So what are they going to do? We have cards on this item, Mr. Koretz. Donna Perlman, item 15. It's not working. It is on. There we go. Thank you. Donna Perlman, item 15.
Thank you. It's good to see you up there, Nuri. Anyway, I want to know, how is global warming, storms and frost and floods? Global warming was supposed to be extremely heat. Now they want to change it, calling that global warming. And then there's a lot of areas that have global warming, and those places also use those trucks with the same fuels. It's not global warming that we have problem, it's weather modification. What we have over there is we take the clouds come over there and they take it away and they bring it over to the upper class regions and our mountains to give them rain. So anyway, I believe this is just to have our produce trucks cost more money for it to bring produce to us. So I don't believe that there's really a global warming. because otherwise we wouldn't have storms in a lot of areas, and I believe that they're trying to just bring up the cost of produce to make it harder for people. So I'm not for this, and I'm going to just keep it to that. Thank you.
Thank you, Donna. Herman? Item 15? He just left? No, he's right there. Item 15? Do you fill out a speaker's card? Are you going to speak?
You have an illegal barrier that's a violation of the law.
Mr. Herman, you're next. You have 2 minutes.
Correct. But for 1 minute, I just want to advise you, you're breaking the law with this illegal barrier.
He is not talking about the item.
Dion, excuse me, I'm just bringing to the attention for my safety and the health of the public here, Mr. City Attorney.
It is a bright red rope that you can walk around.
It's regarding solutions to our environment, establishing regards to the support and the timely manner of an implementation of AB 32 for transportation fuels. Well, the fuel we had this past weekend with the fire was obvious that was an extremist terrorist act in our environment to excel the fuel by a building that burned. But Dion, I'm going on subject now. In 1 minute, 14 seconds, Dion, and this is the fact that Mr. Koretz and Mr. Huizar have nothing to do with global warming for any action and solution, and I hold my time to that 1 minute, Dion. Thank you.
Next speaker on item 15, Byron Barajas.
Yes, Brian Barajas. Obviously, Global Warming Solutions Act. I am totally opposed to the ideology of the green environmentalists who just want to make a buck, at the same time murdering people by preventing them from having any type of technological breakthrough like fusion energy. The insanity of some of our people is clear. They believe that the world, that is the climate change, is being affected by human beings, shall we say. That is, that their actions is contributing to global changes, which is not true. Obviously, these insane people who believe that are mentally insane because they refuse to acknowledge that the galaxy or the sun has to do with our climate change. We have a universe, we exist in it, and there are changes. Obviously, they don't want to face that reality because they want to make a killing, literally. So these people are insane. Those who believe in this fanaticism of global warming. Little that they know that the origin of green environmentalism came from Hitler, eugenics program. It had the name had to be changed to green environmentalism. They had to kill Kennedy because he was pushing nuclear facilities. And the hyenas who are laughing behind my back should stop. You are Americans. We have lost our scientific culture in the United States, and we need to return to that.
Mr. Labange, are you ready for your presentation? Let's vote on item 15 first before we go to Mr. Labange. Call for the question. Open the roll. Tabulate the votes.
11 ayes.
Thank you. Mr. Labange for a presentation.
Thank you very much, Madam President. And it's a wonderful day in Los Angeles, and it's a wonderful history of Los Angeles. Alice, come over right here. And we've got a very special group that's celebrating their 50th anniversary of service to the community. It's the San Fernando Valley Interfaith Council. Give them a big hand. Now, you may have heard me make this speech, and I want to let you know that Beverly right here is right next to me right now. The Constitution of the United States is a great thing, officer. It is a great thing. And in that Constitution, there's a call for separation of church and state, which is a great value, but not church and community, not mosque and community, not temple and community, because institutions of faith are in communities throughout making a difference. And for over 50 years, the San Fernando Valley Interfaith Council has served all of the greater San Fernando Valley area in support and engaged through unity and faith in action. They, in a particular way, have 14 nutritional sites that help our seniors and others, 4 multi-purpose centers, informational and assistance, deliver home meals, door-to-door transportation, emergency preparedness, all the way down the list. The Interfaith Council has been part of that aspect of life. And it's so keen to have that aspect of life. When I first got elected in 2001, then Councilwoman Janice Hahn and I were talking, and we talked about before big government came into play, it truly was the faith-based organizations that provided for communities and family. And this was way, way, way back, if you look back in the last 30 or 40 years. And it's true that interfaith, and I don't like to have my back to you, interfaith is so important to bring people together from all denominations. One of Interfaith's council surviving members is Florence Adler, who serves as a role model and inspires all members. Her remarkable legacy of improving lives through others is spread through a lifetime achievement. When you help other people, you get stronger. You're able to make a difference. You're able to serve people better, so which is so key on this celebration of all of the Interfaith Council. So the mayor, Mr. Garcetti, and his fine signature, along with all members of the City Council, have this combination of various resolutions which our calligraphers have put together that you could share. But before I present that, I want to ask Beverly Ventress, who's our very special member, who's in Toluca Lake, and I hope I'm okay, and I got the faith to call you up here right now to speak it first. Give Beverly a big hand. Did I say that right? Yeah. Thank you, but right here. And then Earl, right here next.
Thank you, Council President and members. On behalf of all those we have served over the 50 years, I want to let you know how honored we are to be recognized by the full City Council with this honor. I'd like to particularly mention the 4 different councilmen in which our centers are in their councilmatic districts. And of course, my own and my favorite, Tom LaBonge, who in CD4, we have our Sherman Oaks Adult East Valley Community Center. Council Member Krikorian, who has CD2, of course, our Bernardi Center is in his district. It is particularly noteworthy in that our very own mayor, great aunt, went to Bernardi years ago. Out in Pacoima, Council Member Fuentes is the council member for the ABD Center, Alicia Broadus Duncan Center, and Wilkinson, who Council Member Englander looks over. So we thank all those council members in particular for their support over the years. And we, again, want to thank all of those who have made this possible. And I also want to reference one of our great partners, and that is the Department of Aging. And right now they're going through difficult times with the recent disaster and with the offices there and the Project CARE, which will affect some of our constituents who are going to be the recipient of some of the Secret Santas, and also our other great partner, Department of Rec and Parks. We also want to thank them for their part in helping us serve the community for these 50 years. We look forward in going for the next 50 years in serving the San Fernando Valley community. I also want to thank all our staff. We have our center directors, some of whom have been with Vic for 20 plus years, which I think speaks to their commitment and purpose in serving others. So again, thank you so much for this honor. And I would now, if I may, introduce our board chair, who has been a great loyalist and supporter of Vic, Earl Fagan. Thank you so much.
And I also thank you for honoring us as being a valuable asset of the city. Vic was founded in 1964 by 5 people who joined together because they wanted to fight racial discrimination in housing. That was a start. And since then, we have evolved and grown dramatically. Lots and lots of programs. We serve tens of thousands of people throughout the year. We're involved with the food pantries that serve enough food for 4 million meals in a year. We've got all our centers and sites teaching people how to exercise and stay home and take care of themselves instead of being institutionalized. We refer people for case management. We tell them what to do and how to do it. We get people in to watch over them. We help people stay independent. We help our city not have to take care of these people. And the city has been so good to us. We're assisted in everything we do. And we've got, as Beverly said, we have 4 senior centers. We've got outlying sites. We've got programs everywhere. We thank you. And hopefully we'll be able to continue serving all these people.
Good job, Earl. Beverly, give us a cap. And also, James, get up here and say something about the aging department. James Don, who's a great assistant general manager. Good job, James.
Thank you, sir. I'm pleased to be here representing the department to congratulate San Fernando Valley Interfaith Council on their 50 years of great community work. I personally have worked with Vic for 20 years, since I started with the department about 20 years ago, and they've always been doing a wonderful job for the community. I particularly remember when the economic situation made it difficult for the city to continue the same level of services, and you stepped in at Wilkinson to ensure that seniors were served at the level they expected. So thank you very much for your great work.
Hey, James, thank you. James is before us now. You can't thank this guy enough. He's a fighter for aging, and I'm right behind you for that. I shouldn't think that, but he's fighting for all people. Give James a big hand there. James,
thank you, sir.
Good job. Man. And Laura Trejo. Thank you, sir.
And just in closing, I wanted to say, too, for all those who are here today, please go to our website, www.vicla.org, and you can see the myriad of services that we offer that Earl touched upon. Daily serving hundreds of thousands. So again, thank you. And council members, please do look at your handout. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's give the San Fernando Valley Interfaith Council 50th anniversary a big hand. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Mr. LaBonge. Mr. LaBonge, I also want to thank Lake Balboa's very own Tom Riley for being here. He's on the board of directors of the Valley Interfaith Council. Thank you very much, and happy anniversary. Thank you. Madam Clerk, I'd like to move to item 18.
Item 18, calls motion for cards.
Item 18, Donna Perlman.
Yeah. Okay, there we go. Yeah. I'm just getting out my notes here. Yeah. Number 18. Of course, is about having to have another reward offer for unsolved murder, because we have so much murder that even law-abiding city steps the police which have to have trigger locks on it, which is not right. On trigger locks on their guns, even without bullets. So what we have over here is that it's hard to protect ourselves, and that's when we might become a statistic. So that's not right. So here, you don't want to listen to me this way. I'll listen over here. This is not right how they're making us a statistic, by making it harder to protect ourselves, by making it hard for the honest law-abiding gun owner. And the only way that we can bring down these crime is to let us be able to have our guns. Oh boy, I can't get
Madam
that phone
President,
right
this
now.
really isn't about
anyway,
this reward offer.
So snitches get stitches. This is not going to work. People are not going to turn these people in. It's not going to help. It's one after like many years. It's not going to work. It's a nice try to get crime to get some of these criminals, but it's not going to work.
Thank you, Donna. Next speaker, item 18, Herman.
We most definitely become the unsolved murder city in the Los Angeles area. Are we to become the next state murder capital of the world? For how dare we use taxpayers' dollars to fund a reward process when only Mr. Paul Koretz has paid out on one portion of this reward process. And yet the city attorney cannot delegate a better process to offer the apprehension and conviction of people for unsolved murders. Mr. Michael Fior, if you are listening, it's time that the performance of the city attorney turn to the real issue, waive the issue of the rewards for the sum of $50,000 and save the taxpayers the hardship for under 1 minute. Thank you.
Madam Clerk, open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the votes.
12 ayes.
Next item.
Item 19, call special for cards.
Donna Perlman, item 19. Donna, are you still here?
Oh, yeah. This is for the 15 million or whatever, proposed to finance construction for development of a 73-unit mixed affordable. Why must we use revenue bonds for housing development? Why must the rest of the property owners pay for a huge monstrosity of a development, taking away our open spaces? Affordable houses for only a fraction of the people, because most of the people pay top dollar. For people who are only going to stay for a short period of time. I believe most of the people who live in these huge, big, ugly development only stay for a few years, unlike the homeowners usually stay for a decade or more. So we don't really need to have all our land built up with huge monstrosity of apartment buildings that are huge. But if you do have to have them, why don't they come up with another way to pay for these monstrosities rather than using revenue bonds? I strongly disagree with using revenue bonds.
Thank you, Donna. Next speaker, Herman, item 19.
Madam Speaker, I deserve the respect of Mr. Herman, please. Thank you, from Valley. But the issue in regarding the $15 million to waive the city of Los Angeles from the bond policies, I find that offensive and repulsive against every member of this council, and more so, this is retaliation to the city taxpayers. And this is what a bond is. A bond is a loan from the federal and state government to pay for the sum of taxes which will be incurred and assessed against your properties at a later time. So bonds are always paid by the federal government and are always recovered. However, and incidentally, you, the taxpayers, are bamboozled to pay for this bond later in the future. Is this what you want for your children? So I'm against the bonds, and my remaining second you can have, Dion.
Mr. Walsh.
John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org or J. Walsh Confidential, tweeting at Hollywood Demza. We have absolutely no quarrel with $15 million as a bond issue for 73-unit mixed-use affordable housing. But we're wondering about how safe is our $15 million. Of course, we look down here and find that this housing facility will be built at 3200 West Temple Street. That's very close to where the building exploded in a possible terrorist attack a couple of days ago. So suppose we believe, of course, that we are a target of terrorism. The building explodes. Suppose you build that building and the terrorists blow it up the way they did the other day. We have the ATF, the federal government, doing the investigation of possible terrorism and the explosion. But we want to know, will we get our $15 million back? Because I'm telling you right now, the insurance company is not paying off on that building, the Da Vinci Apartments building. HollywoodHighlands.org.
No speaker. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Thank you very much. Madam Clerk, would I be okay with the city attorney? I want to go to public comment right now. Thank you very much. Donna Perriman, first comment. Donna Perriman.
Never go with. Am I allowed 2 minutes? Anyway, America.
1 minute, general public comment. Thank you for reminding me. You're so kind.
Oh, shit. America needs to keep itself safe from full-blown terrorism like ISIL, Boko Haram, and keep safe Israel. Dianne Feinstein's a traitor and needs to go, and Hillary Clinton also. She says, respect your enemy, even people like ISIS and Boko Haram. Are you kidding? People who want to destroy us? Hey, Hillary, let's bring cookies and watch a beheading. Oh, joy. Leftist Democrats bring our torture of war prisoners, but we have to do that for information to save millions, not like ISIS, who do it for fun, enjoyment, hatred, and power. Obama is also... Obama's his fault because he took out our forces in Iraq, and he let ISIS in. And the way he fights is doing as little as possible. He's responsible for letting torture and beheadings continue. Let's get rid of Obama.
Lisa Macias.
Good morning, council members. I am a fifth-generation Angelino and a current Skid Row resident for approximately 11 months due to losing my job. Living in Skid Row has been an intense eye-opener. I've heard so many incredible life stories of struggle and loss. There are many misconceptions about Skid Row residents. Not everyone you see with a tent or a cart want to be there. Many, in truth, have just given up. And what happens quite often is depression and then, of course, drug and alcohol abuse. That pool of drugs and alcohol is pretty intense. I face it every day. I've never been an alcoholic. I've never been a drug user. But since living there, those temptations are real. The drug dealers there are obviously open to the public. Everyone knows within 2 weeks, I knew who were all the big drug dealers there. And I don't understand, if I knew within 2 weeks who the big drug dealers were, why the police are not doing anything about that.
Brian Barajas.
Well, I wanted to invite anybody who's interested to a U.S. must join the BRICS conference. It will be December 20th. Call 323-559-1867. Obviously, if, in the United States, I guess the media is trying to block out the BRICS initiative, which is Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, for a world banking system away from the IMF fascism. Of course, that same IMF who's been promoting this green fascism, particularly funding Bush, Obama, and possibly Jeb Bush. So we have fascism coming, and those who want to get rid of it, join us for this December 20th event.
John Walsh.
John Walsh at HollywoodHighlands.org. I just came from the police commission where I said face to face that we want an investigation, and we are getting an investigation from the ATF on international terrorism involved in the explosion of the Da Vinci apartment building. That building went up in 10 seconds. It melted, blew out windows. In fact, the Inspector General said today of the police department said he can't even get into his offices. It has paralyzed this city. It has proven that the terrorists go to the weakest point, and the weakest point was L.A., and the terrorists exploded the building, and that one cop argued with me. HollywoodHighlands.org. They blew up the building, the Da Vinci apartment building.
Renee George. Renee George. Renee George in the chambers? No Renee George? All right, take your time, Miss George.
This is my first time speaking here. Is this for item 21?
It's general public comment.
General public comment. I want to do it specific to item 21. Should I wait? Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Gladys Lincoln. Gladys Lincoln here? No Gladys Lincoln? Mr. Herman?
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to bring to your attention the violation of the law, that these barriers here are a violation of our First Amendment right according to Judge Ferguson, Matt Dow versus the City of Los Angeles, restricting public access to a public meeting for us not to be a part and a participation, but allow the segregation. Incidentally, though, many of you forget about the bonfire you had off of here on Temple Street, and a reminder that when you do vote, I really want no violation of the Brown Act to occur, because most of you are behind back doors without the transparency to sit here and vote for the items that we, the public interest, is involved in. So sit in your seat and push the damn button and allow for this meeting to continue. Furthermore, in anticipation and occupation that Mr. Krikorian is praying that we don't have any more fires in the city of Los Angeles, because as you well know, a fire department was less than 1 block away from this incident, and it contained the fire by allowing
Next
it to burn.
speaker is D-W-I-S-T-I-A-M. Daniel is this Daniel Wine? Daniel, you went to Marshall High, right? You went to John Marshall High, right?
Yeah, long before you did.
Yeah, long before I, but you
went
got to
with my
do
brother.
better on your printing there, Daniel. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Mr. Labange, and thank you, members. I'm here as one of the co-chairs of the Neighborhood Council Budget Advocate City Council Connections Committee. And you've all received in the email a copy of the document I have here. It's our budget advocates' effort to connect with you and to work as we work on the budget process over the next few months. We're trying to get some meetings with you or one of your constituents or one of your office staff, and if you could maybe send them a note or text or whatever is convenient to you. At this time, I'm going to go to each of your offices with this material. The budget advocates, as you know, have been in effect for almost 10 years now and have taken a greater and greater role in describing the community's concern for budget issues. We will be doing that again this year. I thank you for your help. We look forward to working with you, and the theme for this year is making Los Angeles, if it isn't already, a world-class city.
All right, Daniel, thank you very much. Now, that concludes public comment, general public comment. Thank you, Madam Clerk. That concludes it for today. I want to take up item number 5. Mr. Krikorian, the fine councilman of the 2nd District, is here. You call that special? And
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. President. On item number 5, members, I'd like to propose a slight amendment to recommendation number 1, which, as amended, would read as follows. Direct the Office of Finance, in consultation with the City Attorney, to send a notice to each host listed on the Airbnb site and all similar sites to inform the hosts of the existing city laws regarding temporary occupancy. And other than that, the recommendations are fine, and I would ask for your aye vote.
I vote on this, and Mr. City Attorney approves this. This is under the jurisdictions requested by Mr. Krikorian. See no other speakers on the queue.
Excuse me, Mr. President, is there a
Yes.
second?
Second. You got to need a second. Okay. Good. So let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
12 ayes. So ordered.
Adopted as amended.
As amendment. Item number 22. We have cards here for 22. I'm going to call 1 minute comment on this. And I will start with the cards here. Winslow Bauer, is that correct? On Colorado Boulevard, 90041. Winslow, B-O-U-H-I-E-R. We note that card then. Erwin Leon. Erwin.
Good morning, council members. My name is Edwin Leon. I am a Union Local 770 member. I work for Organic Green Treatment Center. I work and I live in the city of Los Angeles. I've been working for the medical cannabis industry for the past 4 years. And when I became a union member, I voted for Proposition D last year because it meant that my job will become more secure and I don't have to worry about competing with illegal shops. Today, ironically, I still see many cowboy shops operating illegally. Thank you. Operating illegally around my workplace and my neighborhoods. I hear patients come in and complain how they open after no professionalism, no support of helping the communities, medication falling into the wrong hands, medication not being tested for pesticide and mold. There's many complaints. Furthermore, I am grateful for the council members.
Thank you very much. Steve Bizzarro, next speaker. Steve here. All right, I'm having cards. Steve, B-I-Z-A-R-R-O. On Woodman Avenue in Van Nuys. We note that card. Next speaker. All looks like the same handwriting, so that's where I'm having a little trouble. Jesse Swally. Woodman Avenue. Jesse here. Julia Trifano. That's you, Julie?
Good morning, council members. My name is Julia Trifanoff, and I'm a manager at LA Wonderland here in downtown LA. It's a legitimate Prop D compliant dispensary. We pay state and local taxes. We comply with all Prop D operating requirements. We provide good environment for both patients and employees. We are forced to compete with operators that have no incentive to pay good living wages, taxes. I'm here today to support Martinez Huizar's motion. I believe it's a positive step in the right direction, and on behalf of my staff and other Prop D compliant operators, I urge the city to start here by adopting this motion and take action that it recommends. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Jasmine Saucedo. Jasmine.
Good afternoon, council members. My name is Jasmine Salcedo. I am a UFCW Local 770 member, and I work at LA Wonderland in downtown Los Angeles. I am a front desk manager, and it is my job to make sure the correct people come through our doors into a safe, compliant place for their proper medication. My job is also important to me because I am a mother of two, and I depend on my job to be able to provide a living for me and my children. As a union member, I am able to have job security, seniority, rights, and paid time off, and I support this motion. Thank you.
Matt Dunn.
Thank you, Council Chair, Council members, and staff, and the citizens of LA for this opportunity to serve our great city. I'm here today to urge you to adopt the Martinez-Huizar-O'Farrell motion to report on the progress of Proposition D enforcement. I've operated Advanced Patients Cushmart in Los Angeles since 2006, and since that time met with many challenges to safely operate and comply. My greatest challenge today are the 90 illegal rogue operators open in my district and the hundreds more citywide. These black market operators do not pay state or city taxes. They do not test their meds or verify their patients. They undercut our unionized collectives who pay a fair living wage to our employees, who test our meds, verify patients, and pay our taxes. Enforcement of Prop D is vital to the safety of our neighborhoods. It will disable this enormous criminal black market in Los Angeles and recover millions of tax dollars for our cities. Please adopt the Martinez-Huizar-O'Farrell motion today. Thank you.
Sarah Armstrong. Sarah Armstrong.
Good morning. On behalf of my own organization, the Greater Los Angeles Collective Alliance, and the national organization Americans for Safe Access, we urge the City Council to pass this resolution today. The public badly needs clarity on what clubs have been closed and what actions have been taken. This wonderful resolution will do that. Additionally, we would like to ask you to be as generous as possible in allocating the LO50 Measure M taxes to enforcement. That is what it was intended for, and we would like to see you be especially generous. The City Attorney's Office has done a wonderful job with few assets, closing over 400 clubs in the first year. We'd like to see that improved in the second year with your help. Thank you for this wonderful resolution, and we urge its passage today. Thank you.
Brian Barajas.
I had a issue with legalization of weed or marijuana, and it is this: my opposition to that. I know that some of the funding of this marijuana went to fund Obama's second term. And it's true, right? I mean, well, those who are educated in that background. And this legalization of marijuana, obviously, is sort of like a British Empire, flood your, countries with drugs. That's a bit of history.
Right. John Walsh. We note that John Walsh is not here. Matt O'Malley.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the council. My name is Matt O'Malley. I'm here on behalf of the United Food and Commercial Workers, Union Local 770. UFCW 770 represents over 30,000 Southern California workers employed in the retail food, retail pharmacy, meatpacking and food processing, as well as the medical cannabis and hemp industries. Our local played a leadership role in helping to bring about the passage of Proposition D in 2013, which we are proud received a majority support in every single Los Angeles council district. We just wanted to add our support to the Martinez Huizar O'Farrell motion before you today, and to underscore that, just a few figures about LO50 registrations in 2012. Before we had Prop D, there were 872. In 2013, the year in which it was passed, we had 1,088. And as of September 2014, there are still 974, and we're permitted 135 and no more in the city.
All right, thank you very much. On Sunset Boulevard, I want to pronounce the last name correctly, Garcia, but they're at 2815 Sunset. Forgive me, I can't, on your handwriting, I apologize. Pronounce that beautiful first name for us.
Daphne.
Daphne, thank you.
So, my name is Daphne Garcia. I am a UFCW Local 7070 member, and I work at California Caregivers Alliance in Silver Lake, and I also live in Los Angeles. I've worked at CCA for about a year, and I depend on this job to pay for my rent, my bills, groceries, and many other costs living in Los Angeles. Losing this job for any reason and any length of time would impose a serious and necessary financial hardship, which it did on August 19th when LAPD came to harass our patients and employees on no basis. Our dispensary pays taxes towards Measure M because we are a Prop D eligible and compliant dispensary. But when that taxpayer money is used to harass compliant dispensary instead of enforcing on illegal shops, it affected me financially and emotionally because it left me without a job. So this motion is a positive step in the right direction. We urge the city to start here by adopting this motion and swiftly taking its actions it recommends. We also urge the city to treat this as a first step as it continues the difficult work of Prop D.
William McKenzie.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the council. I'm a medical marijuana patient. I am treating skin cancer with medical marijuana. I go to a Proposition D compliant dispensary because I know they're paying taxes to the city. I also know that the medicine will be tested and that I will be safe when I go there. This is very important to me. They are also unionized, which means that they are taking care of their employees, which I also appreciate. And the unfortunate thing is they were raided in October, and they were closed down for a while. All their medicine was taken, which means that myself nor many of the other patients had access to this medicine. So although I fully support this motion, I would ask the city attorney to be careful who they raid, and they raid just purely illegal dispensaries. And with that, I say I fully support this. Thank you very much.
And I want to say Mo and Noti, correct me please if I... That's right.
Hello everyone. My name is Mo Anuti, and I operate Green Earth Pharmacy, a Prop D compliant medical marijuana dispensary. I'm proud to say our employees are UFC Local 770 members. Legitimate Prop D compliant dispensaries are unfortunately competing on an uneven playing field. Operators that comply and pay state taxes and local taxes and provide good living wage jobs We compete with operators that have no incentive to follow the parameters that we do. It's unfortunate that resources are being dedicated to closing down Prop D eligible shops, while there remains hundreds of ineligible shops, delivery services, and such operating in the city. The Martinez-Huizar-O'Farrell motion is a positive step in the right direction.
Thank you very much for your comment, sir. This time we've completed our public cards. Ms. Martinez.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you to my colleagues, Councilmember Huizar and Krikorian, for their work on this motion in their committees. Additionally, I want to thank other departments for their verbal reports. Prop D is unique and first of its kind in this nation. There is no other type of ordinance like this anywhere in the country. But as we heard in committee, that makes it even more complicated, more of a complicated issue. From understanding which dispensaries are complying to ensuring equitable concentrations throughout the city, this can be very, very difficult. But what should be simple is that the city stands on non-compliance medical marijuana dispensaries. I first introduced this motion because my neighbors and I have noticed that a dispensary had opened across the street from a local park in our neighborhood. And if you know anything about Prop D, you know you cannot be more than 500 feet from a school, a child care center, or a park. So I knew that we needed to do something about relocating or figuring out if this dispensary was non-compliant or not. I know about the incredible enforcement efforts on behalf of the LAPD and our city attorney to consistently shut down these illegal dispensaries throughout the city. Daily, my office goes out and makes sure that we're working with our neighborhood prosecutor and LAPD officers to investigate new dispensaries that are popping out throughout my district. And I'll be honest, many residents are upset and feel that the city is sending the wrong message to non-compliant dispensaries. While on the one hand, we're closing them down, on the other, we are issuing these BTRCs to illegal dispensaries throughout the city. And then they pretend like these city-issued BTRCs are a license to operate, which I think they're trying to deceive the general public by doing that. And let me be clear, these are not licenses to operate, but just another way for the city to collect business taxes. And while our city continues to profit from these illegal businesses, my residents in my neighborhoods in my district are paying the price. And that's just simply not okay. Children should not have to pass by dispensary after dispensary on their way home or on their way to school or while they're shopping with their parents. The voters who voted for access to medical marijuana, not blight. We need to be clear and forceful as a city that we do not tolerate non-compliant dispensaries. From the verbal reports and our conversations, I realized that something needed to change. And that is why today, Councilmember Huizar and I have introduced a new motion that calls for the Office of Finance to immediately cease issuing new BTRCs to non-compliant medical marijuana dispensaries. We cannot continue to send the wrong message from our stance of non-compliance dispensaries while residents, and I'm sure many of your residents as well, are paying the price for this. Colleagues, I ask you to approve this report today.
Thank you very much, Ms. Martinez, and your leadership, Mr. Huizar.
Thank you, and thank you very much, Ms. Martinez, for your leadership. And as with any new regulation or set of regulations that the city puts forward, there's always a time where we have to come back and refine and improve, and we're under that period with Proposition D. And the fact of the matter is that Proposition D allows certain collectives to exist, and any other dispensary not Prop D compliant is illegal. However, as many of our colleagues can testify to, we find that one of the biggest issues in our communities now is the number of illegal dispensaries that continue to pop up. And since we heard this report in our Plum Committee and the Budget and Finance Committee, the Council directed additional funding for attorneys dedicated to Prop D compliance. These new resources have helped us shut down hundreds of illegal pot shops. Now we must also work on the front end of the problem. As Ms. Martinez noted, today we introduced another motion that calls for the immediate curtailment of giving out new BTRCs to dispensaries. Given that illegal collectives are limited by Prop D to those which were already licensed and in operation as of 2007, all legitimate marijuana collectives, by definition, already have their BTRC, which can be renewed. How can the Office of Finance be handing out new BTRCs for medical marijuana dispensaries when we already have that in place? It is our intention with this motion that property-compliant businesses are supported and not allowed to operate as long as they remain within the law. But we cannot allow illegal businesses to come into the market, undercut the legal collectives, and operate without proper oversight, and even put legitimate customers at risk and disrupt our communities. Thank you so much for your support on this. We continue to refine Prop D, and at the end of the day, I think we will allow those individuals who truly need medical marijuana to get their medicine and have communities that are not disrupted by illegal dispensaries coming into our communities. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Ms. Martinez?
No, in closing, I just wanted to thank again LAPD and the City Attorney's Office for their work, and let's continue to work together to ensure that the city has a united voice to uphold the voters' intent on Prop D. Thank you very much.
Again, thank you for your leadership. Mr. Buscaino, I'm sorry.
I just want to rise and recognize Mr. Huizar and for his leadership on this issue and those who supported Prop D. The reason why we have Prop D is because we need to regulate the amount of numbers of pot shops in the city of Los Angeles. Ms. Martinez, you're spot on. I, too, in my district, we're getting slammed on the number of these pot shops are coming up here and there, not in compliance with Measure D, which was ultimately the will of the people. I meet every single month with LAPD and the city attorney. Mr. Fuhr is on board. Our narcotic abatement officers are doing everything they can. I encourage you to see the failures of, the Department of Finance, like Mr. Huizar indicated, continues to allow these establishments, these pot shops, to spark up in neighborhoods across the city of Los Angeles. On Avalon Boulevard in Wilmington, you will find 7 pot shops in the city of LA. And we have a K-8 school on Avalon. This is a crime and a punishment. Enough is enough. So thankfully that, we're working with the 2 committees to bring back a report on some of the challenges we continue to face in the city of LA, and I'm anxious to hear back and support these ongoing efforts. Thanks to all who've been involved in who spoke on the issue, and we continue to thank those in the city family who too are making their efforts, doing their best to shut down these pot shops that are non-compliant.
Thank you, and thank you, and thank you. So no other speakers on this item. Open the roll. Hold on, please.
Mr. President, we're just approving both of the reports. To approve both.
Yes, approve both. Approve both. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
12 ayes, so ordered. And Madam Clerk, as informed by the city attorney, Renee George. Okay, got it. Okay, good.
Mr. President, for item 21, there was a request to refer that matter back to the Arts Committee.
Item 21?
Yes.
Okay, so that's referred back to the Arts,
Parks, Health,
Committee.
Aging, and River Committee.
Okay, without objection. What is the next item? Public comment. I have 2 cards left on public comment by City Attorney. Renee George here. Excuse me. Mr. Herman, you should know better. Is Renee George here? Renee George, I know, is she here? She went outside. Miss George came up and she thought she was speaking on 21. City Attorney advised me that I should offer her public comment. So she's not in the room at this time, Mr. City Attorney. Excuse me.
I'm here to speak on the item deferred again here.
Tell me your name, ma'am.
Well, you know what? I got a job to do too.
Okay, Sergeant.
Sergeant.
Okay, members, what we have are Mr. Farrell or Mr. We have no other business before us at this time. Let me say something, because this is how the things go to shit.
We already did. Oh, we already did. So
We're done.
it's done.
Yeah. Oh, there she is. There's that lady.
Okay, allow her to speak.
Oh, good. Thank you very much, Renee. Thank you very much, Renee.
And for the record, it's because she filled out a card for general public comment. She's being allowed to speak.
Thank you. Renee George.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to me this morning. This is regarding item 21, which I guess isn't going to be heard today, but I'm still going to do a general comment. The dangers of GMO foods in agriculture are well documented, including the Seralini study that was republished this year in June in the Environmental Sciences Journal. It is also described in the documentary film by Jeffrey Smith entitled Genetic Roulette, which if you haven't watched, I recommend. These genetically modified organisms are toxic to the human digestive system, causing leaky bowel syndrome, which can lead to allergies, autism, Alzheimer's, IBS, and many other diseases. There's also the extremely urgent issue of cross-contamination of organic crops. If GMO crops are cultivated in proximity to organics, there's a high likelihood of cross-pollination and cross-contamination. Corn itself pollinates over a 2-mile area. I'm glad you're all paying attention. In addition,
Just finish
Roundup
your
is
sentence.
toxic to the heart. That's just came out on the Seralini website. They did studies with rabbits and
Thank you. Thank you. All right, where are we, Madam Clerk?
That concludes general public.
So that it concludes general public comment. So what's before us? What is before us? No, once we begin a conversation on the item, if cards are not submitted, we don't allow late cards. So anyway, where are we, Madam Clerk?
Mr. President, the City Attorney has an announcement for item 11.
Mr. City Attorney.
Oh, and just for the record, item number 11 is a request to draft the ordinance referred to in item number 11.
Okay, thank you. That brings us where?
Council has motions for posting and referral.
Okay, now, just Mr. City Attorney, I'll ask you to back me up on this because an explanation is fair. Because that there were committee hearings and the testimony was taken in committee, it is not a requirement for you to be, the public comment portion was satisfied in committee, which means it does not have to occur on this floor. Now, City Attorney, you may want to say it in a more legal way.
Yeah, just for further clarification, and because this was somewhat unusual, item 21 is what is known in City Council parlance as a placeholder. Placeholder, in essence, is a shell of an item with an adequate description to satisfy the Brown Act, but whose actual matter had been expected to be considered by committee during the 72-hour posting period. In most cases, the committee's recommendations meet up with the placeholder at the targeted council meeting. Yesterday, Arts, Parks, Health, Aging, and River Committee voted 3-1 to continue the genetically modified organism ordinance for 3 weeks. Thus, council cannot act or could not act on item 21 since it was not before council.
Okay, so that's hopefully gives you some clarification where it relates to this item. So that brings us where? That brings us where, Madam Clerk?
Mr. President, Council has motions for posting and referral.
Okay, the matters are posted and referred.
That clears the desk.
Announcements? Mr. Blumenfield.
An announcement, although it's posted, the ITGS committee, which would normally meet at 2 o'clock, is meeting at 3 o'clock today. So anyone who's interested in ITGS, it is at 3 o'clock, not at 2 o'clock.
Thank you for that. Any other announcements? Mr. Price?
Mr. President, I just wanted to announce that the the Economic Development Committee will be...
You had a flashback.
Oh, flashback. We'll be meeting at 2 o'clock, not 1 o'clock.
Okay, we can't have disruption, though. Go on, Mr. Price.
2 o'clock for the Economic Development Committee, not 1 o'clock this afternoon. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other announcements, members? If we could all rise for adjourning motions. Mr. No. Okay.
They're disrupting the meeting.
So, you are disrupting the meeting. I will ask you again to refrain. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you.